So we're going to turn now to our final segment here,
Yes.
as usual, looking at Opportunity America
Yes.
with Opportunity Lives segment. And today we are welcoming Gerrard Adams. He's
Yes.
the CVO, the Chief Vision Officer. He'll explain more about what that means, and founder of Founders with the W, Fownders.
Welcome,
And we are
Gerrard.
excited to have Gerrard, but we're going to show a clip of his of what Founders is here, and then Gerrard will join us on the other side.
These weeks moving forward for our businesses right now.
Let's go, 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 let's go.
When you're overwhelmed, you will seek distraction, not knowing it.
I don't know if I've ever been checked publicly. You were to die right now. Why is it important that this thing's happen?
Okay, so welcome, Gerrard. He is here with us again. He is the CVO and founder of Founders, and he's also one of the founders who helped create Elite Daily. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Gerrard. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, Gerrard, tell us about Founders first.
Well, it's a community. We wanted to really build a community in Newark, New Jersey, where my grandparents and parents grew up, where, growing up, I heard so many great stories, but then after the Industrial Revolution and riots, there was a lot of poverty. And after my success, after 14 years of an entrepreneur, where I had to kind of really self-educate myself, I had to find a lot of mentorship along the way. It was very tough. I had to overcome a ton of obstacles. And when I finally had my exit in 2015, I really wanted to give back, and I wanted to take what I've learned about incubators, accelerators, all these great resources that we were seeing for young entrepreneurs in bigger cities. I wanted to see that more in a place where similar to where I grew up. And so we built Founders, which is this community that's a co-live, co-work, co-play, co-education, and we run a 12-week accelerator program where the entrepreneurs can live there, and we put them through a complete transformation. We'd like to think of it as like a human accelerator before a business accelerator. So we really work with them on mindset, emotional intelligence, what really drives them, what's their why, what's their purpose, what do they really want out of life, and then we take them through the skills on what it takes to take an idea and turn it into a business.
Well, Gerrard, just to rewind a little bit, because not too long ago, you were head at Elite Daily.
The founder.
Right, you are the founder of Elite, co-founder of Elite Daily, and I understand that you co-founded it with two of your interns. You guys partnered up, you created this. I think within a year, you were generating almost $500,000 in revenue, and then in 2015, you sold it for, what was it, $50 million to Daily Mail. So, I mean, this is no joke. This is entrepreneurial success at its best. So the fact that you decided to not put it aside, but refocus on giving back to community, that says a lot. And you call yourself the millennial mentor. Right. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I've been blessed throughout my years to have unbelievable mentorship. It started with my mother, started with my father. My mother worked 7 days a week. I saw her go through a ton, bad knees, working on her feet every single day for 7 days, bad back surgery. My father, taught me about leadership. And then once I dropped out of college, my first semester, the only way I had to consistently surround myself with people I can learn from. So I got to where I am today because of the people I've surrounded myself with. Being an apprentice, really getting that mentorship. And throughout my career, naturally, I've passed that mentorship down to, the people that have worked with me that have been, this millennial generation. I felt like a big brother to them. I'm on like the older spectrum. I actually grew up without a cell phone. I actually grew up with like dial-up internet. You know what I mean? And then I like.
You're grandpa millennial.
Yeah, I'm a grandpa millennial. So, at this, and what happened for me was the reason why I trademarked Millennial Mentor was after my exit, and when I looked on social media and I saw how this is such a powerful tool, but we have so many people out there that are showing people the perception of what success is with the cars, the lifestyle of what, with the money and the fame and the Insta fame, and that's not what success is.
Exactly.
And I felt we need better leaders, we need better role models out there right now that have actually built real business and understand like what it means to really truly make an impact in the world. So that's when I decided, it's time for me to step up and be that role model.
Sure, and we've got an interview with you at opportunitylives.com. BoldTV.com, where we talked with you about your life, and you were inspired by Tony Robbins. And if you don't know Tony Robbins, look him up. He's a financial guru. He's a mentor to a lot of people, financial mentor. He inspires people to take control of their lives. And you were inspired by Tony Robbins by something he said, which was that basically if you don't have a true purpose in your life, then you won't even have true success. It's not, monetary success isn't real success. You've really got to have a higher purpose. And so it seems like you're taking that to the next level in terms of you're giving back to your community, besides just taking money and going to, hang out in the Caymans all year.
It's funny. I was close to doing it. Afterwards, basically, because of my accountant, he said to me, Gerrard, you're about to get this huge wire for millions and millions of dollars. Like, go to Florida and save on the state income tax. So I went with my girlfriend to Florida. We had ocean views. We were about to sign, and then I said to myself, like, this isn't right. Like right now, like I can be doing something that is really, really meaningful. And the quote that really inspired me after I got invited to Tony Robbins' conference, UPW, was success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So like, why do I have all the success? And what was it all for? And that's when I decided, you know what? I can always go to Florida. I can always do that. I can always travel to anywhere. But let me go back to, Newark, where a place that doesn't have anything what I wanted to envision building, and I was like, I'm really making an impact there. So
yeah,
it's been the most fulfilling work, definitely.
And I always say that living out your purpose, first of all, finding it and finding that passion, and then translating that into a purpose where you can give back and make a huge impact on the world. It's something that's the most rewarding thing that you can do. And you were speaking about how this perception of living a rich lifestyle has pretty much permeated in a lot of younger generation, a lot of people from the younger generation. Yeah. But I think that you were talking about how we need to start looking towards building wealth. And that's something that we focus a lot on Black Enterprise. We try to give those tools and resources so that young people who come into a lot of money, like yourself, aren't just living lavishly and have nothing to pass on from generation to generation. Can you share a few tips or resources or tools that you give your mentees that you think would benefit other millennials who may be watching now?
For you mentioned like a good point in the sense of like a lot of people right now, like they want to get rich, you know what I mean? And I know what that's like. When I first started as a young entrepreneur back then, I didn't even call myself an entrepreneur. Now it's a very popular term. For me, I wanted to make money because I wanted to give back, to my family, just to my mom, my dad. I wanted to take care of them because I actually did grow up with, I was blessed to have like a good family, and I know what it's like to be hungry and want to make that money quick, but I think there's a real difference, between just like trying to make money and be rich and then trying to actually be a leader. For me, it's about leadership. And I think it's about how can you not look at money as, something, like you said, to kind of live lavishly, but as a tool to be able to make more impact. And the advice I would give is find the one thing in your life that you are truly, truly passionate about, and that, regardless of money, is something that you want to get up every single day and you want to do it, and it's going to be, and you're willing to fight no matter what, because it's going to be tough. But at the end of the day, that it's improving people's lives. And I think Richard Branson said it best, and he said, like, really a good business is just an idea that improves people's lives. And, if you focus, and I think we did this with Elite Daily, believe it or not, and I've done this time and time again with other businesses. I always say, money never leads, it follows. And if you focus on what you're truly passionate about, you focus on being a good leader, which means you put yourself last, you focus on your team, you focus on your customers, you focus on the people that you're serving, and you do that time and time again, every single day, even when times are tough, even when you get knocked down, you get back up and you keep fighting for those people around you, you will gain loyalty, you will gain respect, and that's worth more than all the money in the world, and the money will come. And then when it does, I love, I don't know who said it best, but someone said that, like, when you actually do make money, it only shows your true character. It only highlights who you truly are. So when you come into that money, who are you? Are you that person that needs to go and be flashy and needs to have to go get the Lamborghini and spend the money on the bottles at the club and have to go have all these girls or maybe guys, whatever, all of that? Or are you the person that is going to use that money as a tool to make even more impact, to even help, get back into your community, to be a better leader, maybe to start other businesses that are going to make even more impact. So, I challenge you that to not, money's important, but I challenge you to be a great leader and look at it as a tool on how you can truly make impact.
All right, we got a comment here from Bobo Farrell. He says, well done to Gerrard. I'm trying to live my passion and purpose. It's a battle. I think we all feel that battle. But I got a question for you, Gerrard. When looking at your video and your website and kind of getting the feel of what Founders is right now, it looked a little bit brotastic. I'm not going to lie. It looked like it was more geared toward men. And it seems like women in general, we have a harder time getting funding. We have a harder time, launching businesses. We might have less confidence because I can speak for myself. Like, I have 5 brothers and I was raised in a very conservative family. My parents encouraged all my brothers to work outside the home, but they would not let me work outside the home, for example. How do you guys think about that at Founders in terms of making sure that women are included? Absolutely.
It's, if you watch my videos on YouTube, I'm a huge advocate of I call them boss ladies.
Yes.
Of boss ladies. My last episode of Leaders Create Leaders was on a boss lady, Mona Patel. But also for Founders, it's very important. So yesterday, 3 of our startups in Founders pitched at a huge conference called the Venture Conference. 2 of them are female owned.
Right.
So shout out to Taylor. And if you guys are interested, she has an app called Interest Me, and we have another founder named Rebecca who started an app called Ment. That's becoming the Waze for airport transportation, for airport and the way that you commute to the airport with
we need that.
traffic at the airport.
Definitely.
Jade is a part of Founders as well. So I'm very aware of it, but it's definitely part of the conversation. We've had those conversations inside of Founders. Even on Women International Day, we brought in another female boss lady who spoke to our entrepreneurs and, talked about, that it is tough to be a female sometimes and go out and doing business sometimes in an environment where there's a lot of males and the females in our cohort were talking about that a little bit, about sometimes they felt that it was harder to build a relationship sometimes with men for the right reasons, and they actually started talking about this. Like, sometimes you want to build a rapport, you're trying to act professional, but sometimes guys, it hasn't happened, and guys
have an ulterior motive.
Right.
And we got into this amazing debate because it's hard for me to put myself in your shoes.
Right.
But for me, it's just, I genuinely just want to see everyone succeed, and I just, I think that right now more than ever before, women are just, I think, exploding right now. Like, I see so many that are taking their life into their own hands and just building successful businesses. And for me, I've had an amazing experience where with Elite Daily, our editor-in-chief that we brought on, Caitlin, she was a game changer for my business. So I personally think that women have like a stronger intuition and sometimes really harder workers sometimes than men, and they're great, unbelievable leaders. So shout out to all the boss ladies.
Right.
I'm definitely keeping it, a focus to include that in Founders.
So we have another question from Jaja Secure. He says, she says, how can individuals and businesses create a joint venture collaboration with you and your company to create collective impact in Newark, New Jersey?
I would say, for me, it's about working with good people, and I would invite Jaja.
Yes, Jaja.
To come to Founders, and get a tour and see what we're up to. And, we are looking for all of the businesses that I've had. One of the key factors to us becoming successful was strategic partnerships, aligning ourselves, and with Elite, we were able to align ourselves with the right advisors. We were able to align ourselves with other publications like Huffington Post, Complex, and that was what allowed us to truly grow. So I'm constantly looking for other people that have a similar mission and that want to get involved. And for us, it's Newark right now, but we have a vision that is that we want to take this, nationwide and really take it across the country, build a brand, and we're interested to know about who would like to see something like this in their community as well and learn, because we're willing to give the tools so that you can do this in your community. We know that there's a lot of underserved communities right now that don't have the resources, that don't have the curriculum, that don't have an environment where people can come together, share, collaborate, learn, and that's a goal of ours. So anybody who's on that same mission, please get in touch.
Great. Well, Gerrard, it's been a pleasure having you here. I want to end one last question for you because, in our profile that we wrote, I talked to you about all the obstacles you overcame when you were younger and kind of the mindset that you had to overcome and how when you were in high school, you had some, colleagues or classmates that were doing drugs, getting into drug dealing and getting arrested and all these things. And you came from this stable, loving home, and then you went to this environment where as a young kid, you were very impressionable.
Yeah.
But how did you shake yourself of that mindset? Because it seems like that's the bigger problem right now is really the mindset of people feeling like they don't have any other alternatives.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I mean, that's what happened to me. I guess what happened first was I started hanging out with the wrong people, and I just truly believe that who you surround yourself with is like who you become. Mm-hmm. And for me, I just started, what's cool, and like people get caught up on what's cool instead of like what's truly like meaningful and what is really gonna help you grow. And if your friends are not forcing you to level up, like you need to get some new friends. And back then, like the people that I was hanging out with, were hustling, we're smoking pot, that was what they were doing, and I got caught up in that. And luckily for me, I had just like a second chance, a miracle, where I almost got arrested basically, and someone was committing grand theft auto in front of me. I got all these cops around me, and the next thing you know, they went and arrested the person stealing the car in front of me and let me go. And in that moment, I said, wow, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. And I think you have to start asking yourselves those questions, like, am I really, really taking the time to get to know who you are? What do you truly want in life? What do you envision for this next year, for the next 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want to go? And are you really making the right choices to put yourself in that position? Are you meeting the right people? Are you finding the right mentorship? Are you getting the right education? There's no excuse anymore. There really is no excuse. I mean, there's so many stories. I dropped out of college and was able to amount to this type of success. Right now, you can go on Google and search anything. You can go on YouTube and find out anything. Like we as a generation are so blessed. Our ancestors worked their asses off to put us in this position, and now with the click of a button with our fingertips, we're able to access any information. There is no excuse anymore. Take ownership, and that's why we have the word own in Founders. Own who you are, own what you've been through, and start taking ownership of your destiny and making those right choices.
That's excellent. That's so excellent, Gerrard, that, we talked about how, you're cognizant of how, even though you had different obstacles and you suffer from other things, you see women who may have suffered, or you see younger people who may be falling into the wrong path, and you're using the tools, the insight, the knowledge that you gain and passing that on. And I think that a lot of times when people become successful, that's not top priority, that's not front of mind. But, we definitely commend you for just pushing the next generation forward and helping them, and so that they don't have to make those same mistakes. So that's excellent what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerrard.
Thank
We
you, Gerrard.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, check out founders.com, yes?
Yep.
All right, FOWNDERS. So that does it for us here at BoldTV. Thanks for joining us. We will be back, and for all our Claymates out there, Clay Aiken will be back next week as usual, so stay tuned. And thanks for following us. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.